industry for more than a decade, I knew there was a better way. It's an exciting time to invest in gold and silver with the most significant bull market I've ever seen. But please don't overpay for your stuff. At KEPM, we focus on low-cost bullion only, and we don't charge a commission when you sell. We would love to connect with you, so call our office at 720-605-3900
or go to goldwithjustin.com today.
It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on Wood Radio.
Good morning. The sun is shining. Things are warming up. And speaking of the temperature, we're heating up too as we get even closer to Christmas. But big news never stops, and that's why we're grateful that you're here with us today. We can bring you up to speed, let you know what to expect in a big presidential address a little bit later on tonight. Some of the stories yet still unclear when it comes to answers, particularly around the Brown University attack. We'll have more on that coming up this morning. And good news, too. Don't go anywhere. Here we go.
News, weather, and traffic. And the biggest stories of the day. We're talking about what matters most in West Michigan and beyond. This is the Big Three. Now, today's Big Three.
Yeah, the stories that matter most. Should be talking about these around the water cooler, the dinner table, no matter where you are. Our good friends at Heartland Home Mortgage want to make sure you're taken care of, whether you want to buy, refi, home equity, line of credit. Dave Galloway and the team standing by, ready to help you. Just like they've helped us. They're faster, they're better than the big banks. I got to tell you, we've saved thousands each and every time we work with them. In fact, I think you're going to do the same. You'll hear those reports from some of the other folks that listen to the programs have done just that as well, and they're here for you.
Number one.
We appreciate their support. President Trump announcing a blockade of Venezuela over on Truth Social. In fact, an ominous, yet, as I mentioned, stern warning. President writing on Truth Social, he's ordering a total and complete blockade of sanctioned oil tankers. Folks, this is just the next step. They've already sanctioned these tankers and this oil going into and out of Venezuela. He claimed the Maduro regime has been now designated as a foreign terrorist organization. He'd know, so he's to be able to do that. President also set to deliver a primetime address to the nation tonight. I believe it's around 9 p.m. You can watch that on the networks or listen on the Fox News radio portion of the iHeartRadio app.
Number two.
Police in Providence still on the search for the Brown University killer. You know, I've seen these memes, and this is probably the perfect example of them. They have, here's a video picture from Mars, and it's super clear. And then they show this guy that they've got video or pictures of, and it's not great. We continue to ask questions around what happened, what was shouted that day there on campus, and whether or not that young lady who was killed was targeted. She was the vice president of the Young Republicans organization there, outspoken Christian conservative. In fact, there are many that are making the case that she was. We'll hear from one of those on the way this morning.
Number three.
Maybe the reason why they're dragging their feet on some of this in very liberal Rhode Island. Protests against data centers continue. In fact, a rally Tuesday in the Capitol here in Lansing, organized by groups like Michiganders Against Data Centers and involving Clean Water Action. Some of these lefties, including Attorney General Dana Nessel, coming together with folks on the right in a bipartisan crowd, highlighting concerns over water usage, electricity demands, rate hikes, lack of transparency, and environmental issues as well when it comes to the impact of these things. And you can't blame them. Folks have questions, got to get those answered. And we got to make sure when you're going about this process that you involve these people, decide whether or not they want them in their backyard. We've seen that Grand Rapids City has done that recently. Lowell kicking the can down the road for a while at least, as people begin to speak out on this. Is one doing Sparta sometime soon? We've heard news about that too. All of these stories and more, folks, will continue to keep you posted, updated on them. as we lock in. You can join the program at any time. Here's your number.
Call Justin now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Another day, another embarrassing moment, by the way, at one of those pressers. The mayor in Rhode Island and the police chief both seem to be not the people that you'd want the face of something like that. They just don't seem to be handling this whole thing very well. Providence Police Chief, the video that we showed you came from inside the building. A Rhode Island Attorney General, it's from outside the building. Wait a minute. A little bit of back and forth on where the thing even came from, as grainy as it is. They've got pictures of this individual, and they can't even figure out where it came from. That's a whole nother issue.
So the video that we showed you came from inside the building, and that's all we had at the moment. That's all we have at this moment. Correct.
Inside the engineering building, though?
I'm sorry.
It's from the outside of the building.
From the
I'm sorry.
outside, so do you have video from
Yes.
inside the engineering building?
Both inside and outside. I'm sorry, just outside. That's all we have, not inside. No. I'm sorry, just outside.
Are they going to be released anytime soon, like from inside the building?
That was released already. That was the outside of the building. We released that.
Yeah, let me just jump here and clarify. Okay, so there is for those of you who've been with us before, and I understand not all of you have been, there is video inside the building. There are cameras inside the building. What we have released to you are videos.
So the video that we
They will say outside the building. Now, why wouldn't they give us all the videos? Why wouldn't they just show us everything? What are they waiting for? I mean, why wouldn't they just put it all out there? I mean, it really does. It makes you wonder what's the holdup? Put it all out there. Get this guy caught. Get him found. They also tell you he's not a threat. He may be armed and dangerous, but he's not a threat. That would indicate, again, that they know who he is. They know why he did it, and it probably targeted these individuals, unfortunately, who were there that day. There's one account I think I heard. I have to go back and look this up, but forgive me if I'm wrong, but I believe there's one account that this guy that came in, the killer came in, and he looked one of the folks in the eyes, and he said, apparently this individual could have taken the shot, could have taken this guy out, and didn't. And just walked away and left. So figure that one out if you can. What was that all about? And by the way, what does that even mean? Mark Halpern, who you're familiar with this guy. If you saw his face, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He's got his own show, his own podcast stream, etc. And he's making the case on his show, The Morning Meeting. The title today, Reconciling the Unreconcilable. It's interesting conversation there about Ella Cook. People who are telling me, he says, that the family of Ella Cook, the woman from Alabama, was a target of what happened there at Brown. And maybe that's reason why you're not hearing all of this is because they want to make sure that they dot all the I's, cross all the T's. And maybe that's not a convenient narrative for them. So we've moved beyond Charlie Kirk onto campus, possibly. Horrific to think of it.
The Brown one's a little complicated because I don't know that any news organization has reported this, but I've been besieged with messages from people who are really concerned about the report. And again, I believe in being transparent here. If I were editing the New York Times, I don't think I'd put it in the paper. But people are telling me that the family of Ella Cook, the Alabama a young woman who was a sophomore, has been told that she was the target of what happened at Brown. I have no idea whether that's true. There's other theories about why the person did what they did, but now that we don't know who the assailant is, it's going to be harder to say. But if it's true that she was targeted, that's a big story because she was one of the most visible conservatives on that campus. Don't know that it's true, but probably most of you don't even know that's being alleged because you'd have to follow certain accounts on X or have sources, as I do, who are telling me that. So, Amber, if she was targeted, and again, we don't know that, but if she were targeted, what would the implications of that be?
Well, I'll start with a couple of things that I think lend credence to that theory, which is one, typically when we see mass school shooters, they don't just stop and walk away, right? Usually they keep going until they're apprehended by police, shot dead, or they kill themselves.
Yeah, Amber,
in this case,
let me just stop you.
Yep.
I should have been clear. She was the number 2 person at the Young Republicans branch on Brown's campus. So that's why some people are concerned if she were targeted. Go ahead, Amber. I apologize.
Right. Well, and the other thing is, if the police are telling Brown students that they are safe, they don't have to shelter in place anymore, but they don't have a suspect in custody, I think that also suggests that this was some kind of targeted attack. Sadly, I wouldn't be surprised. When I was on campus at Georgetown, I was chair of the college Republicans. I had to report multiple threats against me in my final 2 years on campus. And it seems to me that the political violence problem has only gotten worse in the 10 years since. There's been obviously numerous high-profile attacks, the 2 assassination attempts on Donald Trump, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the attempted bombing of a local Fox News van. And we also have all of these surveys and polls showing that young people are more comfortable with political violence than at any point in modern political history.
So if that's the case, to me, we don't know this for a fact, right? But as Halperin makes the point, but if that's the case, then it's no wonder they're slow rolling all of this information. Maybe they don't exactly know who it is. Maybe they don't exactly know where the individual is. Maybe they got completely caught off guard on all of this, and now they're stuck, and they don't want to go out there and say some of the things that they know.
There really is a strain among young people where they believe that political differences and problems can be solved by killing the person of the opposite political stripe.
Horrific.
Kevin.
Yeah, I agree completely with Amber. I'm so sorry that was your experience at Georgetown. I went to Catholic U here in Washington, D.C., and, we did so much cross-party programming with Democrats and Republicans, the college groups, just because it was, I think, important to realize and keep everything in perspective that we're all Americans first and we just disagree. And to Amber's point, we have seen this transcend now to lower generations, where the idea that political violence is the solution to our disagreements is on the rise. And I think it's, fueled by video games and desensitization and just this loneliness factor that we have in our society that this is a solution. And again, there are more questions than answers. I think we'll get a better picture, hopefully, when this person is found and arrested in Providence, and we get the real understanding of the motives in this case specifically.
Yeah, we don't, obviously, I know we don't always know what happened.
No, that's the obvious part. Halperin and that whole segment, by the way, I'll put up online so you can listen to it. But it is interesting. If that's true, the family of the woman killed, Ella, being told that she was targeted or was a target in this situation, well, that changes quite a bit, doesn't it? That changes quite a bit because now we've moved from big figures like CEOs and Charlie Kirk himself, right? Political figures, to just average students on campus. Horrific. And a thought that is worth at least exploring. Folks, more on that coming up. We'll continue to keep you updated. This story and more coming up. We'll we'll give you some good news too. I've got some of that. We'll talk more about what the president's announcement could be tonight as well. All coming up on West Michigan Live. Don't go anywhere.
We begin with news about the car industry. Ford ending production of the F-150 Lightning EV truck to focus on affordable gas-powered trucks and hybrids. This as demand for EVs is way down. Michigan's largest car company saying it will cost $19.5 billion to pivot away from its ambitious plans for EVs. As Jewish people here in Michigan continue to celebrate the 8-day holiday of Hanukkah, President Trump at the White House hosting a holiday celebration, saying Americans are praying for the victims of the terrorist shooting at a Hanukkah event in Australia. 15 people killed there by a father and son duo inspired by ISIS.
As President of the United States, I will always support Jewish Americans, and I will always be a friend and a champion to the Jewish people.
For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
All right, welcome in, folks, watching the behind-the-scenes live stream, no matter where you're watching it from today. We got a weird scenario happening on Facebook on my page. I am not allowed to stream right now, or it appears there's an issue between the streaming software and Facebook. Why this is so peculiar is we're actually streaming on the Wood Radio Facebook page too. So if you're somebody that goes, I just like streaming on Facebook, it is available. It's just open right now on the Wood Radio Facebook page. We started doing this in the last week or so, trying to add another layer of at least streaming the first part of the show. And thought maybe folks would enjoy it and help grow the Wood Radio Facebook page. And I don't know if that has something to do with what we're dealing with here. I'm just not sure. So, that being said, okay, I'm going to hang on one second. I gotta move some things around. Just give me 2 seconds here. It may cut off for just a second, but it should resume. Okay. All right. How's that? I just removed our Facebook and added it back in to see if that gets things fired up and rolling. No idea why this would happen. It's very inconvenient on the literally like the last day I'm streaming this show. Now, I've got news about that coming up here in just a little bit. There's something going on with my page. It's trying to send it, and you can see it trying to send, and then it says unable to connect. So, man, I don't know what that is. After taking it out and then trying to restart it, I don't know. Let me get into the news here, bottom of the hour, and then let me see what I can do. I got to try something else as I'm like troubleshooting it. Dad's good to see you. It says, I do use locals and Facebook and X, but currently my X account has given me havoc. Isn't it something? We're all under attack for some reason. I just like to chat on Facebook, Doug says, with all the people. I know, and I agree with you. And I'm glad we have alternatives. By the way, that's why we started this. I mean, when we did all these different alternatives, it was because we never knew whether Facebook was going to take us down, and we know we lost YouTube at one point. So anyway, thank you, Mando. Thank you, Dads. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, so many Pandas, so many others. And I'll say good morning to a few more folks in just a second. Hang on. Market's moving. Stock futures are up on the rise after a shaky session yesterday. We'll get an open coming up in just a bit this morning. Stand by for that. And you know what's interesting? We've heard a lot lately about 24/7 trading that may take place at one point. What could go wrong? Sometimes I think less is more. And certainly in this case. But anyway, that's what we're hearing. It doesn't matter what that roller coaster looks like or feels like at times. We want to help you get back on track. The folks at Talon Wealth can help you do that. You've seen the headlines. The Fed just cut rates, and look, that changes the math on your savings, borrowing, retirement income, all of it. So if you're close to retirement or already in it, set it, forget it, set it, and all that type of plan can age fast. That's where Mike Lester and the Talon Wealth team can help. They don't push a one-size-fits-all portfolio. That's just not what they do. They take a holistic approach because they know that's the best way to go. They sit down with you, look at the full picture, map out a strategy, build around your goals in the real economy we're living in right now. And you've also got Mike's insights from the Guarding Your Nest Egg show, help make those smart moves possible, not just emotional. Call Mike and the team at Talon Wealth today at 616-661-1000. That's 616-661-1000. Or go online to guardingyournestegg.com and see how they can help you today. Back with more good news coming out after this. Bottom of the hour news, we'll check the latest. Don't forget President Trump, big address to the nation coming up this evening, and we'll have the latest for it. Don't go anywhere.
Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Hi, I'm Congressman John Molinar.
All right, we're in the news now. So, again, Facebook is not letting us stream from here, but they are letting us stream in the Wood Radio page, which is strange. Maybe there's a problem with two of the same stream happening on multiple pages. I don't know. Just going to check to make sure that the live looks good. Yeah, there's a few people watching actually on the Wood Radio live. Jason, I did see you. I saw you, big dumb guy over on YouTube. That's great. I love that screen name. Tom is when I hit the expand on Facebook, the chat panel disappears when one says I'm on the Wood Radio. I honestly, who knows what kind of gremlins are in the machine this morning. Jessica, snow starting to melt. Yeah, we got warm temps. That's kind of nice. Zuckerberg was jealous of your shirt. Charlene, good to see you. Appreciate you guys who found us over on the Wood Radio. I'll just leave that up for now. Maybe I can share it. I'll share it to the Justin page in case people want to find it and they don't want to watch on Rumble. What is wild to me, though, is I'm watching you guys post stuff, and it's like when I clearly post the link of where to watch, people don't want to. They don't want to, or they don't want to watch it, or they're incapable of figuring it out. I don't know. I understand that. Look, life throws us hurdles every now and then, right? It throws us lemons. Sometimes you got to make the lemonade. You got to figure out how to do that, right? I get it. Hang on. Let me put the YouTube link in the comments too. Just so folks, Let me see. Can have that too. I know nobody likes change, and I absolutely wish that there was no need for it. I wish that we didn't have to constantly deal with these. But I just also think it's probably an indication that we're over target. In other words, what we're doing successful in some way. Because if it wasn't, I don't think we'd get as much grief. You know what I mean? I really don't. I think they would just leave us alone. But I'm going to put every link I have into the comment section, and we'll let it roll. One more, I think Getter is another good one. Hey, Getters. Dan says Getter's working. Yeah, that's right, man. Getter always works. There's never a problem with Getter. I mean, I at least as far as I know, I don't think. Have you ever seen any issues, Stan? I can't remember any time we had any problems with Getter. Reliable. All right, so I put in YouTube, X, Getter, Locals. What else am I missing? I did Rumble too. I think that's it. All right. Let me give this one more shot, one more opportunity on Facebook on our channel to see if I can get it up and running. If not, we'll figure it out. Let me test with our guest real quick. Dr. James is with us. Doctor, good morning. Appreciate you taking the time to be here. How are you?
Justin, happy to be here. I'm doing well. How are you?
Fantastic. I don't know if that's a real background or not, but it certainly looks much nicer than the snow that we're looking at here in Grand Rapids.
No, I'm in St. Clair Shores, so yeah, I thought I'd cheer everybody up and remind you that June is almost here.
Yeah, that's right. Almost. We got a little bit of a warm up today. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, this is practically springtime here. Yeah.
Practically springtime. Absolutely. James, let me just make sure too. How do I pronounce your last name correctly?
Lyons Weiler, but my friends call me Dr. Jack.
Dr. Jack?
That's right.
You got it. Dr. Jack is here. Got big, in fact, great news for you. We're going to talk about some of the things that are happening behind the scenes. We'll dig in with him, especially for the Maha crowd. You're not going to want to miss this. Stand by. Dr. Jack will be right back with you. Thank you, sir. All right. We'll get him rolling here in just a minute as we come back from our break here. Bottom of the hour with our technical glitches. And again, if you are able and you're streaming us right now, then you can hear this. And unfortunately, this is probably the worst part about it. Facebook giving us issues today is that I don't think I've talked about this much on the open Facebook public stream yet. I talked a lot about it on Locals and the VIPs behind the scenes because they always get the behind the scenes info first. But today is the last day of regular scheduled programming, regular shows until January 5th. And I know that sounds crazy. That sounds like a lot, but here's why. I'm off for family, Christmas, Thursday. That's tomorrow. And Friday. Then Monday and Tuesday I'm off. Christmas Eve, which is Wednesday next week, I'll be filling in nationwide on the Glenn Beck program. So you'll get me there 3 full hours. In fact, it's kind of funny. In the next couple of weeks, you'll get more of me than you normally would, just with 4 shows than the hour show that I've got here regularly. So you'll get me Glenn Beck Christmas Eve, Glenn Beck the next Monday of New Year's week, Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, New Year's Eve. 3 full hours. So if you want to watch those shows, I'm going to be doing a VIP behind-the-scenes live stream for folks over on Locals. I don't own that show, so I can't stream it live to you, but I do apologize. I know the season gets kind of funky, but that's where we're at. You never know, though. I might pop in with something cool.
Live with our good friend,
Justin Barclay. Stand by, folks.
The Glenn Beck program coming up at 10 on Wood Radio.
Yep. Thanks to the folks at the Good Feet store powering this show today and every day. Well, when you're in the fight, you need good feet, right? That's right. They help us on and off the air, whether you're at work or at play. There's no sense in not being comfortable, especially if you're on your feet, your job on a daily basis. You're a nurse or somebody working in the factories, wherever you are, right? Maybe just a grandma that wants to keep up after those grandkids. Do it in comfort at the Good Feet store. A couple of different locations. You know, I've been talking about this for a while now. 'Tis the season. Take care of yourself. Get ahead of it. Maybe that New Year's resolution you've been thinking about. 28th Street, right in front of Costco, or in Portage on Westnedge in front of Kohl's. Walk into the Good Feet store today and feel that comfort. That's maybe been keeping you from doing all the things that you want to do, all the things that you love to do. It's a Good Feet store, powering today's program today and every day. And quite frankly, every day as a dad, running after, chasing after the girls. We got all the Christmas stuff, Christmas programs happening, and more behind the scenes. Well, there's always something going on. And speaking of which, you know, there's always something going on. We've got some of these stories behind the scenes. Maha notifications for you. Another big update. Dr. James Lyons Weiler, and he goes by Dr. Jack, by the way, if you're familiar with him. He's been in the fight for a long time. In fact, he's got a Substack we're going to talk about today that you're going to want to know about. But behind the scenes, Michigan trying to go full tilt. We talked about this in the last week or so against vaccine exemptions. Dr. Jack's here with us with the latest on this story now. And of course, his piece here. You're not going to want to miss this. And we'll tell you where to go watch it, connect with him and more. But Dr. Jack, thanks for taking the time to be here with us today.
My honor and pleasure, Justin. I've not heard of your show. You seem like a really good host. I want to tell you, I'm going to tune in.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. You've been in the fight for some time now, and I kind of promoted this as good news. Now, the reason I said this, not necessarily that they're continuing to do what they're doing with the Board of Education at the state level, but I think it's good news because people are on to them, and they've been fighting back, and this Maha movement has really awakened so many parents in the last 5 years or more. I'm sure you've had a front row seat for this.
I have. I got started in 2015 when I decided to write a chapter on vaccines for one of my books. My book is Cures versus Profits. I left the chapter in vaccines in the book in spite of the fact that I knew that it would destroy any chance of further academic career for me. You know, I want to take the opportunity really to highlight that all of what you see happening in Michigan, and there is a spate of bills that Michigan for Vaccine Choice can tell you all about, and others can tell you about, but all they really have is administrative obfuscation, administrative overreach. You know, one of my associates and close advisors is Jeremy Hammond. He's a Michigander. And I just got off the phone with him. And if you go to jeremyhammond.org, he's got a great article outlining specifically how, you know, everybody in Michigan thinks that by law, if you have a vaccine exemption, you have to go and get an education from the state, from your county or whatever, that says, you know, you understand the risks of vaccines and so on. And Jeremy and a bunch of his legal advisors did the hard work of actually bothering to read the Michigan law and what's on the books, and found that public health has done a massive overreach and a snow job in misleading the public into thinking that they need to do that. According to Jeremy, and in his article, there are standing laws passed by the legislature, signed by the governor, that states that the only requirement for someone to get a vaccine exemption is that the parent notify the school administrator, period, full stop. And so the Michigan Public Health Code is actually misleading. So his analysis, I'll read it. Michigan law grants parents the rights to exempt their children from vaccination requirements through a written statement submitted directly to the school. It also says the MDHHS administrative rule has been misread by the school to impose further requirements that lack legal basis. The school's reasoning relies on circular logic and fails to identify any statute requiring parents' attendance to educational session or any use of any certified waiver form. The school's refusal to accept a lawful exemption violates the public health code, improperly delegates enforcement power to school administrators, and constitutes unlawful discrimination. And so it's all the citations are here that's necessary. This isn't a problem that exists because there's a conflict between this part of Michigan legislation and that part. That can be settled through, negotiations between legislatures or lawsuits. This problem exists simply because the Michigan public health authorities have decided to write a rule that violates Michigan law. And so, I would encourage people to check out jeremyhammond.com. And, he's a really very well-studied parent of a vaccine-injured child. I would like to emphasize that without people like Jeremy doing the due diligence, we would not have the MAHA movement. Without people doing their part to look for themselves what the reality is and not just rely on some authority telling them this is the rule. And, Jeremy, this very rule impacted his life. He actually was thrown out of a practice by a pediatrician. He was thrown out of a school, and so on. So these administrative rules do not override the rights protected by statute. And this is the same as Rochelle Walensky with her overreach, telling people if you own property and want to rent it, you can't charge rent. That's not her job description. She didn't have the authority to do that. So this authority overreach, I think we're going to see that a lot of these bills that are being proposed are simply doing what they can do to make the parents' lives difficult, to make individual lives difficult, to say no to vaccines.
Dr. Jack with us right now, walking through some of these things. And, look, as a parent, our oldest was born in 2020, and while all this was going on, and my story is kind of interesting, but this is what happened to us. She was born 3 months early, and we found ourselves with some really nice people taking great care of our daughter, but also we found ourselves kind of in a place where we didn't know what was going to happen next, and we hadn't, gotten the pediatrician lined up yet because we still had plenty of time. And one of the things you have to do before you leave the NICU is you got to get your pediatrician. They'll tell you go find one. So I started making phone calls. And almost every person I talked to would say to me, as we were just really checking insurance, because she'd been in the NICU the whole time, and in Michigan, you're forced to take this, I guess it's Medicaid, some sort of Michigan program that they have, and thankfully did, because the cost would be in the millions for 30 days or more in the NICU. So you take this, and in other words, you have to call the pediatricians and see if they'll accept whatever it is that you have. So when you do that, you get various answers. And one of the things that kept coming up, doctor, was, well, every one of our patients, yes, we accept this, or no, we don't, but every one of our patients has to agree to follow the CDC recommended guidelines for vaccinations, and if you don't, you're out. That was it. And I just kept getting it, and this light bulb went off in my head. I'm like, what? Why? And just days earlier, I had gotten a phone call from someone I know, like and trust, someone I've known in the news business for years, and she says to me, I gotta be careful I tell this story publicly, but she says, this is horrible news. You're never gonna believe it. She says, I'll just say it this way. Someone I know, very close to me, is about to be named Biden's head of the CDC. And she's just beside herself. She says, this person, the only reason she's going to get this is because she's a big Democrat donor and yada, yada, yada. And so then the two things started connecting with me. I said, well, this is very interesting, isn't it? Because if I have to agree to follow some guidelines that I'm not even sure how got put in place, because the head of this thing is going to be somebody who's some sort of donor class individual. How do I know that they have the best interest at heart? And in this moment, everything started to light up for me. And yes, she was named the head of the CDC, and everything that I was told was going to happen did take place. So really interesting to see that. That's what started our journey. And I know various other people had various different ways that they woke up along the way.
Yeah, I mean, we all have our stories. I was full on pro vaccine while I was raising my kids in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I had no problem with vaccines. We spaced them out a little bit out of an abundance of caution, and none of the pediatricians gave us a hard time. The real battle here is a battle between public health, which answers to the pharmaceutical companies, and the tendency of pediatricians to be soft on following ethical medicine because of the perverse incentives for vaccine coverage. And so, it's a whole dynamic ecosystem of struggles. And when I saw that the science backing vaccine safety was the weakest type of science that could be imagined in other areas of research, you think in biomedicine, vaccines are safe, vaccines are effective. They would have used rigorous gold standard science. Instead, they were using the same kind of science that allows sociology and psychology to earn the label soft science. These are just retrospective correlation studies. No hard test of the hypothesis that perhaps the vaccine's causing some adverse event. And so, what people in Michigan need to be aware of is that public health lost control of medicine that they had through HHS. This is a devastating loss to them. So now they're going in two directions. They're going to the state level and they're saying we need to enact what we wanted through HHS and the state level, and we need to become more draconian. We need to make K through 10 public schools disseminate all this aggregate immunization data, this vaccination coverage data, violating privacy potentially of students, that we need to strip the authority from the treating physicians by mandating that all exemption documentation conforms to MD-HHS generated forms, where right now all a parent has to do is write a letter or an email to the school administrator. And it's taking out religious exemption and just say objection. So it's forcing the parents to adopt a particular language. And that's coerced speech, which is not legal under the First Amendment. There's a whole lot of violations and just overreach. The physician's role here just becomes a ceremonial rubber stamper. They don't have to get down on the weeds with this stuff. And the state tries to consolidate control over both the medical practice and non-medical exemption pathways. So, people need to stand up to this. They need to be aware that HB 5348 and HB 5349 absolutely steal your ability to just use your own voice to say, I object to this or I do not consent to this. But there's another level here that they can't control. Every single vaccine that's on the pediatric schedule is subject to long-term vaccine safety science through retrospective studies. I said that earlier. They're weak studies, but they still exist. They look at vaccine adverse events through the VAERS database, the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System. They look at them through the Vaccine Safety Data Link. No parent in Michigan has ever been asked by a pediatrician, would you like to enroll your child into a long-term vaccine safety study? And this is a violation of the Code of Federal Regulations. It's 45 CFR 46 and the Common Rule and a bunch of other things. Children and pregnant women belong to a special protected class where informed consent and proper ethical treatment during clinical studies and human subject research, I have special protections. And every child that's been offered a vaccine, every parent that's been offered a vaccine, and even those who declined it should have been informed that they're trying to enroll your child into a long-term vaccine safety study. And that's a violation of the principles of informed consent for research. Well, this mandate, this coercion, this state level, you're going to be denied access to school. You're going to be denied medical care. That's coercion to get your kids into long-term vaccine safety studies. And I keep saying this, but it doesn't seem to really hit home. The only thing that you have that the state cannot control in the end, the only thing that you have are the inalienable rights that are given to you by the U.S. Constitution. The states constantly try to find ways to take away your individual rights guaranteed to you by the Constitution. And one of those rights is the right to life. And if a vaccine could potentially kill your child or you, and you are coerced to you're mandated to take a vaccine, that is mandated death. If it's during a research trial or medical practice, makes little difference if you're dead, right? The only thing that we have that's sacred to ourselves that the state can never touch is our right to practice religion, our right to personal autonomy, all of these rights that are codified in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And so these bills that are here, that in Michigan, that are being proposed to take away these individual rights, whether you're for vaccines or not for vaccines, understand that pharma wants to bring in over 200 more vaccines to market. How many of those vaccines are your kids going to be subjected to in 5 years when they come to market and mandated to take without your choice? Otherwise, you have to disrupt your life to take on homeschooling if you want to say no. So this legislation is draconian. It's absolutely all of it. Go to popularrationalismsubstack.com and find that article, Michigan Tricycle Full Tilt. Make sure you get a hold of your state legislators and tell them that they are absolutely stand up against this, that they need to do an inquisition, an absolute inquiry into any relationships between pharmaceutical companies and members that have members of public health and members that are pushing this legislation, because they're a trade association. Pharma is a trade association. Bio is a trade association. The American Academy of Pediatrics is a trade association, and they're constantly trying to use our children to open up new markets. How many children are dying from these 200 other vaccines, of the pathogens that are in these other 200 vaccines that right now they're going to mandate in 5 years if you allow this to happen in Michigan? Don't let this happen to your children.
We're going to put the notes up on the stack today. Folks can check this out. We'll tell you where to go. And, of course, where to continue. But where can folks find you, Dr. Jack, if people want to reach out?
Best place to go is come join us in some courses at ipak-edu.org. Go to ipak-edu.org. We've got about 30 courses, 40 instructors, and these are very, very, engaging courses that are live. The instruction is live. You get to interact with the instructor and the other people taking these courses. We have courses in basic biology if you want to keep up with your kid in high school or help tutor them. We have courses in immunology, genetics, autoimmunity. We have courses in literature, such as Brad Miller's Literature as Resistance course. We're always expanding our course listings. So take a look and browse around. They're about 15 weeks long or 8 weeks long, depends on the course. And they're really affordable. We do put coupons out. So if you try to sign up for a course, you'll probably be offered a coupon. So check it out.
There you go. Thank you so much for taking the time, again, to walk us through it and everything you're doing in the fight. Dr. James Lyons-Weiler and Dr. Jack. Always a pleasure to have these conversations with folks in the Maha movement. As things continue to pick up steam, we'll continue. We'll have you back on. Thanks again.
Thanks, Justin. Talk soon.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and more, folks. We'll continue our conversations after this. Back in just moments. The fastest hour in radio is flying
Here
by.
are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Wednesday, December 17th. I'm Robin Poffman. Word of another left-wing judge here in Michigan siding with criminal illegal aliens. The Obama-era appointed judge openly praising a violent Honduran illegal alien convicted of sexually assaulting a woman who has cerebral palsy. U.S. District Judge Judith Levy's lenient ruling has prompted backlash from the Trump administration. And as Jewish people here in Michigan continue to celebrate the 8-day holiday of Hanukkah, President Trump hosting a holiday celebration at the White House and praying for the recovery of 40 people wounded in the terrorist attack in Sydney, Australia, where 15 others were killed by a father and son, radical Islamic terrorists who pledged their allegiance to ISIS.
To all those affected by the horrific and anti-Semitic terrorist attack, and that's exactly what it is, anti-Semitic.
For these stories and more, visit the Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Bad breath is a confidence killer. You can have the best outfit, the sharpest resume.
All right. I still don't know what the heck's going on with Facebook today. I'm going to test it as soon as we get off the air and get a moment. I'm going to test and see if the app will let me go live from my phone, because then we'll know if it's strictly like a Facebook thing with my account where they've barred me from doing any live streaming, which might be the case. We've seen it before. fact. That's why we did all this back in the day. There was one point, and it was around the COVID times that we actually had a member of Congress who had to step in and deal with it. Imagine that. Stand by, folks. We'll get that test done and get. Facebook is good, Brenda, but it's not good on my page. You're watching Facebook, whether you realize it or not. On it looks like anyway on Wood Radio's page. That's what's happening. No, it doesn't give me any reason. Facebook isn't saying anything. It's only in the software. It says unable to connect. So we're going to find out. We'll find out in a second what the deal is. Stand by here, folks. Hang on. Got to get back on the air, and then we'll wrap up the show, and I got to tell people the news. Stand by.
Up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
Set Wood Radio is a preset now on our iHeartRadio app. Powered by Michigan Auto Law. Auto accident attorneys. Visit Autolaw.com.
That's Autolaw.com.
Fastest down radio flying by, and that's going to do it. In fact, I move over for the after show, the show after the show. JustinBarclay.com, Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, YouTube, you name it. Love to have you there. The iHeartRadio app, wherever you download your podcast, you can listen. But a programming note, I am off tomorrow through January 5th for regularly scheduled programming. And what this means is I'll fill in for the Glenn Beck program on Christmas Eve, nationwide, and on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of New Year's week. So I get a lot of time on the air here with you, but it's going to be spaced out a little bit. So in the meantime, I'll just say this. As always, I wish you and yours the very best and the happiest of holidays and a very Merry Christmas. God bless.
WOOD Grand Rapids. WOOD FM Muskegon. The news is next on Wood Radio.
An iHeart radio station.
Guaranteed human.
It's the season of giving.
Okay, let's do the test real quick, guys. Thank you for being so patient with us for today. Let me see if I can. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Let me see if I can get it live over here. If not, you guys are all watching where you're watching, and that's fine. But it would be nice to know this before we go on break, right? That would be nice. I'll just call this testing. Let's see if we can go live. Ooh, it got stuck on one. It's a starting live broadcast. That's not a good sign. That's like the whole account can't go live. Have they sent me any notifications? Broadcast failed. Please check your internet connection. My internet connection is the cell phone provider. All right, guys. I don't know what it is. That's gonna require some. And this, by the way, I've got plenty of good internet connection here. It's got all 5 bars or whatever they are. But I don't see any notification from Facebook saying I can't go live. Now, what I will tell you is there's been a lot of stuff in the last week or so that's come back as like copyright violations from even past, like a year or more past. But they don't say that there's any issue to you being able to broadcast. It's just like, hey, your right to earn on this has been claimed by someone else. And it's like, well, first of all, I'm not really earning anything on any of that. in the first place. And then second of all, it's just it's like even if there was anything, it would be very minimal anyway. So I don't see anything. I'm just going to say this: I don't see anything blocking us or any message saying you're a bad boy. You've really done it this time. There's nothing like that. This is way beyond Trent's pay grade. Otherwise, I would call him. What did you do or say to tick off Facebook? I don't know. I have no idea. What could it possibly be now, right? All right. Anyway, we tested it. We don't know. The Wood Radio Facebook page is live right now for the meantime. So if you just hang out with us, I'll start the after show. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Okay, here we go. Trying to figure out our way through this. The thing is, life throws you hurdles all the time. You have to jump through all these different things. It's okay. Usually, chances are it's not the end of the world, And sometimes, seems like your doors are closing on you. Maybe there's a reason it's not a full, complete close. They'll open someplace else. So.
Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barclay.
Yeah, welcome into the after show, the show after the show, folks. Don't know why. Have no idea, but we're experiencing technical difficulties, issues over on my personal Facebook page. By the way, it's growing by leaps and bounds. We're over 100,000 and I think almost in the next day or so, probably over 103,000. So it's growing. Facebook letting us grow in some ways, but not letting us stream today. It's just really weird. But we were able to get it up and online for folks on, at least anyway, on the Wood Radio page. We're everywhere else you'd want to listen to as well. So Rumble, Getter, Locals, YouTube even, X, all of them. So there you have it. We continue our pursuit of truth, logic, and common sense, and of course, faith, family, and freedom. And we're doing just that. Now, I have to be careful about what I do today because I'm broadcasting this on Wood Radio's page, and some of the stuff we play get tagged for copyright stuff. So that's why I may do things a little differently today, and I'm just warning you. I'm warning you about it as it happens, just so you can be in the know of how things might be a little different. If you don't know, and maybe you're just finding out, tuning in, I am off a good deal of Christmas and New Year's holiday for the regularly scheduled show. That means there won't be streams, there won't be podcasts. I will be filling in for Glenn Beck 4 times, 3 hours each time. That's 12 full hours versus the normal 2 weeks I'm on for 10 hours. 5 days a week, an hour a show, right? So they're actually getting more of me on the radio than you would, but it's going to look and sound a little different. So here's what I would encourage you to do. I'm going to do behind the scenes VIP streams for folks over on Locals. So if you want to be a part of that, if you want to see what we're doing, if you want to hear the whole thing, you would definitely want to come over and join the VIP over on Locals. Just $9 a month to do that. And you'll help support us. So let me know. Are you guys having problems? Are you having problems listening over on? Maybe there's an issue with the internet altogether where I'm at. Maybe that's a problem. I don't know, but I just did it on my phone too, so that's weird. Very strange. Let me know what it looks like where you are. Do you have a hard time seeing me or hearing me? whether you're on Locals, Rumble, Getter, X, YouTube. Let me know what that whole thing is like. Okay. That being said, let's get into the president's going to announce, he'll address the nation tonight. Some believe it'll be conversations about Venezuela. I'm not exactly sure what to expect. I've seen a little bit back and forth on this, but nothing concrete just yet. Somebody said, well, I hope it's those $2,000 checks are going to be in the mail just in time for Christmas. Well, again, I don't know. I wouldn't hold your breath. Let me just, but I certainly won't be holding mine. I would say to you, maybe at some point, if the time's right, you may get that. We've already been hearing some really good news about some of these things. In fact, in recent days, we've heard big stories about gas prices, money coming in, investments, $18 trillion. They've never seen investments coming in. All of that. And those are all great things. Like I said, gas price is a big one. That's a major indicator for how things are going to be going, how people will feel things. I will tell you this. This is kind of interesting. I heard a story today that was all about polling. And it was about, whether people are having a hard time or not, that sort of thing. And, which is really interesting. This guy was sort of talking about the polls and how bad things are. People feel they're feeling the crunch. And then it goes into I think the real issue of the poll is that people haven't felt good about the economy since January of 2020. I think is what they indicated. So again, lots of issues in the economy and those problems mostly due to Biden. So that's sort of the, pulling the curtain back on these issues. Sort of the truth, the logic, the common sense, the reality of what's really happening. I got some other stories we got to make sure we get to. This is good news. The federal government is shrinking today. You want to talk about adding to that because it also helps with the interest rates and everything else. But federal employment now at the lowest level since 2014. That's the lowest level since Obama. Promises made, promises kept from the Trump administration. Maybe he'll talk about that tonight. There are less people on a government payroll right now than there have been since Obama. How cool is that? I'm really interested to see how this is going to play out. And in some ways, I think you're already starting to feel some of the pushback from this. They're not happy. They're not happy. But this is what moves all of the wheels of the swamp, right? The deep state. It's all these unelected bureaucrats making decisions and trying to protect themselves in these situations. That's why they all did what they did to try and get Trump. Now, they never really have been able to get Trump. In fact, we saw this today. I thought this was interesting. The FBI arguing in recently released memos, they didn't have probable cause to search Mar-a-Lago. Oh, is that right? Well, who's going to jail? The FBI initially expressed hesitation, according to The Hill here, about searching President Trump's home for documents, suggesting there were less intrusive ways to recover the classified records being stored at Mar-a-Lago. Oh, you mean by knocking on the door and saying, hey, can we see the documents? Or picking up the phone and saying, hey, we're looking for some things. Can you help us here? The whole thing was theatrics. The whole thing was a drama. It was a play. It was a play produced in order to make you think the guy was a crook and a criminal. They wanted it on the nightly news. Not only that, but they wanted you to see it and to know if they can do it to him, they can do it to you. That's why they do it. That's what the whole thing was about. As sick and twisted as it all is, the FBI didn't have problems. So it's the find out era. What happens now? Well, now that you found out, and it's not long before the people that were involved in this will start to see what we like to call accountability. The release now coming days ahead of the special counsel Jack Smith's deposition before the House Judiciary Committee. Jim Jordan, the chair of that panel, Tuesday, sending letters requesting interviews with 4 more of Smith's team members. Oh, yes, the find out era is here. Jack Smith, line him up. Trump just posted, by the way, they were asking about Smith, and I think Ray and who was the other guy? Ray and the Attorney General Garland. Somebody posted something about these guys ought to be locked up, and Trump said essentially, yes. The shade he drops inside those truth posts sometimes are, well, it's just fantastic to watch. He was asked about it. I don't know if you've seen this back and forth. There's too much to keep up on. Somebody asked me earlier, did you see what Candace said about... No, I haven't watched what Candace said about their meeting. I saw what they both said about how productive it was, praying that they can come together. I've also seen now that Megyn Kelly's come out and said that she helped put that meeting together, which I'm certainly glad that happened. I haven't seen the Candace videos yet or anything about it. I just pray that situation continues to resolve itself. The latest is, did you see what Susie Wiles said? And now Susie Wiles, this distraction du jour, I would call it. Susie Wiles is the chief of staff for President Trump. Now, he's come out defending her in a big way. Come out saying, look, Susie is fantastic. And by the way, I think I saw Don Jr. talk about this too, saying, Susie was there when nobody else wanted to touch my dad. During these times, they're doing these raids and everything else, and January 6th and all that. She was there at a very special time. She's one of the best. Well, I think it was Vanity Fair. Somebody did an article. They interviewed her. It was a hit piece. They absolutely twisted everything that she said. And J.D. Vance, the vice president, was asked about this the other day. I think there was a portion where they said that she called him a conspiracy theorist. And it was supposed to be like in a negative connotation. Listen to how he turns it. Everybody's wondering, like, what's going to happen when Trump's gone? Who's going to be the press? Listen to how he turns it on the press. This is excellent.
Vice President Jacob Bogage from the Washington Post. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Same to you.
Unfortunately, I have to ask a bit of an off-topic question from affordability because news events do intervene, and that is the interviews that White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles gave to Vanity Fair, in which she's quoted as referring to you as, excuse me, and again, not my words, sir, but a conspiracy theorist of a decade, and described your transformation from someone who once opposed President Trump to now his vice president as an act of political expediency. And I'd like to give you the chance to respond to that, sir.
Well, first of all, if Susie, I'll trust what you said. I haven't looked at the article. I of course have heard about it, but conspiracy theorist. Sometimes I am a conspiracy theorist, but I only believe in the conspiracy theories that are true. Yeah. And by the way, Susie and I have joked in private and in public about that for a long time. For example, I believed in the crazy conspiracy theory back in 2020 that it was stupid to mask 3-year-olds at the height of the COVID pandemic, that we should actually let them develop some language skills I believed in this crazy conspiracy theory that the media and the government were covering up the fact that Joe Biden was clearly unable to do the job. And I believed in the conspiracy theory that Joe Biden was trying to throw his political opponents in jail rather than win an argument against his political opponents. So,
yeah. Turns out that was real too, huh?
At least on some of these conspiracy theories, it turns out that a conspiracy theory is just something that was true 6 months before the media admitted it. And that's my understanding.
I got to tell you, the guys, he's got it. He's got it. You've got to have the ability to turn what they've said back. And they've all learned this from Trump, by the way. Turn it back on them. And this guy, boy, he fooled around and found out really quickly. That's the point.
Now, look, I do want to say something about Susie, though, because, again, having not read this article, Susie is a person I've come to know very, very well. And, a lot of you probably ask yourself, what is it like behind the scenes? What's going on actually behind the scenes of the Trump administration? And I'll tell you, the president is exactly in private who he is in public. Like, I'll tell you a little story. Actually a week or so ago, I walk into the Oval Office and Marco and I are sitting there talking with the president about something. He says, stop. And he looks at our shoes and says, you guys have terrible shoes. So he goes and gets a shoe catalog.
Now, we heard the shoe story. That's a great story, but he's going to tell it again. Anyway, I thought that was worth playing for you because I thought you should see what's happening. Hey, this horrific thing that happened down in Australia, this attack on Hanukkah, the first night of Hanukkah for these people, just trying to celebrate on the beach there, Bondi Beach. And two terrorists lose it, going on a murderous rampage. President Trump speaking out about it. In fact, the prime minister, from what I understand, they're already pushing some sort of gun grab. Another one? Like they already had a ban. Now they're going to try and do more?
Let me take a moment to send the love and prayers to our entire nation, to the people of Australia, and especially all those affected by the horrific and anti-Semitic terrorist attack. And that's exactly what it is, anti-Semitic. That took place on a Hanukkah celebration in Sydney. What a terrible, terrible thing. We don't learn. We're joined in mourning all of those who were killed, and we're praying for the swift recovery of the wounded. Some are very horrifically wounded, as you probably know. All nations must stand together against the evil forces of radical Islamic terrorism, and we're doing that. Let me take a moment to send...
Absolutely nailing it. By the way, you want a look into what may be tonight? Well, Carolyn Leavitt is previewing the address tonight at 9 p.m. with the president. Here's what the press secretary had to say. I think this was on Fox, maybe early yesterday.
We greatly look forward to President Trump addressing the nation tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern. I hope your audience will tune in, and Americans across the country will tune in to hear from their president as well about the historic accomplishments that he has garnered for our country over the past year. If you look at the security of our border, if you look at stopping Joe Biden's inflation right in its tracks, bringing down gas prices to the lowest level in 5 years.
I would say if it's just this is a very wise decision. People, I've been telling you this for weeks now. People need to hear these stories. The news isn't getting it, but they need to hear it. They need to see the stats, and they need to hear it over and over and over again to really get what the difference is. Just in time to be sitting around the table together for Christmas.
President Trump will be talking about what's to come. The best is truly yet to come, as he often says. And so he'll be addressing the country about all of his historic accomplishments over the past year, and maybe teasing some policy that will be coming in the new year as well as we head into this Christmas season.
That's a look. I think that's right now. Putting those facts front and center for folks it's a fantastic idea. Some of these pieces they have to be over and over again, and you got to tell people, because they're seeing and they're experiencing all of the hurt for the last 4 years, and it's taken a while to pull out of it. But they also need to know and hear and see. It's got to be upfront. It's got to be open. It's got to be over and over again repetitive. Here's what we're doing. Here's what's coming next. Look for this to happen. But look at all the accomplishments.
President Trump is focused on putting Americans back to work. And if you look at the job gains historically throughout this past year, what's most remarkable about the labor market right now is that President Trump is putting American citizens back into the labor force. And we know under the previous administration and Joe Biden that 100% of the jobs gained were for foreign-born workers. Yeah. These were for people who flooded our country and took the jobs of hardworking Americans. And so President Trump's policies of not just border security, but also incentivizing investment into our country. He's gone overseas to recruit trillions of dollars in new investments, new jobs, economic growth into our manufacturing industry here at home. We're going to continue to see all of that come to fruition, which means more jobs for hardworking Americans and also an increase in their wages. If you look at the wage growth that has taken place over the past year as well. On average, the American worker is earning about $1,200 more over a year thanks to President Trump's policies. Under Joe Biden, they were losing on average $3,000 per year. And so this president is focused on pro-growth policies for American workers, not foreign workers, for putting people back to work, particularly in our manufacturing industry, which has always been the backbone of our nation's economy. President Trump.
I would tell you, it is fantastic. It's fantastic to see they're taking that approach that needs to happen. People need to know about these things, and I can't wait to find out more. By the way, they have. I don't know if you've seen this. It happened so quickly. They've already identified who they believe is the woman behind the harassing a Target employee, and this is. I've never seen anything like this. You almost think when you watch it that it can't be real. By the way, I'm going to warn you, there's probably some language here, but a woman working at Target, she's a senior. She's probably, I remember Target. See, I worked at Target back when I was a kid. It was really easy. It was a fun job for everything I remember. I think I checked people out. When I wasn't doing that, I was helping with, stocking things and all that. I mean, this is a seasonal job. I only did it for a couple of months or whatever, but they hire a lot of people around this time of year. And again, this was almost 30 years ago, maybe, so a long time ago, back when that was the old Target. But I think that's what this woman is doing. And they... The all-out attack that she gets, she's being berated by someone for wearing, again, it's a red shirt, but it is a red Charlie Kirk Freedom shirt, and she is verbally abused for it.
Why? They let you wear that shirt here? Yes. Why? Why?
And I gotta warn you, there's probably some language in here because I think I remember hearing it the first time around. Just a heads up, you may want to take some time if you're in a place where you got little ears around that don't need to hear it. Just a heads up.
Why are you taking my picture? Why are you wearing that shirt? You're working. It's not a red shirt. I can wear any red shirt. It's not a plain shirt. It doesn't have to be. It's a Charlie Kirk shirt. Yes. Yes, I know. Are you fucking stupid? No. Why the fuck would you wear?
Okay, that's enough. You know what? These people are vile. They're disgusting. And of course, she puts this up on social media. She puts the woman's face up on social media. It's just so sad. They're out there drilling again. What is it? 37. All right. Well, that's warm enough to drill again. You hear that out there? They're out there drilling. So I do have, by the way, they found out who the woman is, and this is the find out era, as I mentioned, and you're already starting to see people identify. I guess this is in California. The Chico Police Department is investigating a social media post on the personal account of an In-Low Health employee. We are on, we're deeply concerned about the tenor of this post and the responses creating from individuals of all political persuasions. We ask for patience and calm as we conduct our own internal. She could get fired. This woman who did this could get fired. I hope that she does. I don't want people canceled. I don't want to see people. I'm not going to say her name, by the way, but they believe that this is who this is. And Enloe Health, I don't know if it's like a hospital or an insurance. I don't know. This care. Thank you for helping us ensure patients who need medical treatment can reach a caregiver. Okay, so it's got to be like a hospital or something along those lines. Anyway, there's the statement from those folks. But I got good news on this. I don't know if you saw this originally. It happened. I think everything came out yesterday. There's a Give, Send, Go. Which is fantastic. They've raised almost $80,000 for the woman, Jeannie is her name, who was attacked verbally by this woman who appears to be a nurse. Can you imagine? I think that's the situation. They're saying that she's a nurse. And can you imagine what if she doesn't like your politics? Is she just not going to serve you as a nurse? On Monday in Chico, California, elderly Target employee found herself at the center of a national attention after being filmed by someone we can only describe as unhinged. The individual berated her fellow Californian with unwarranted fury because she was wearing a shirt supporting Charlie Kirk. Now, we're hoping to raise enough money so that she can afford a much-needed vacation, a time for her to relax, recharge, and just forget about the ugliness. Maybe even retire. Well, they might blow through this. By the way, I'll put the link up in the stack, and you can go if you want to go give to Jeannie, who did handle it well. Again, real life, everyday people, and this story ties in again to the horror of the fact that they see, maybe this young lady at Brown was targeted, a student killed and assassinated, possibly because of politics. Well, we've taken a big step. That's a giant leap. Unfortunately, if that's the case, from attempts on President Trump and Charlie Kirk to just everyday people, this is horrific. But it is. It appears, anyway, that it's happening. I'll put the link up so you can go check her Give, Send, Go. And if you'd like to help, again, almost $80,000. That's incredible. I would love to see this. I would love to see this go even bigger for her. She deserves it. She deserves it. No one deserves to be treated like she was. Here's a picture they're claiming is the woman who was filming all of this. She's got a red hat on that says, "Make racism wrong again." I don't have confirmation of that, but that's posted online. Who was that posted by? Ryan Fournier. So I know Ryan's probably right about that. They're saying this individual lives in California. They're doxing her now online. I don't want to see that happen either, but you can't make this stuff up. But like I said, more good news. I've got more good. Actually, I do. I really have some really fantastic, something that's, I think, a good way to put the wraps on things as we head into Christmas. A man, part of the greatest generation, just the other night at Mar-a-Lago, 101 years old, a World War II veteran. His name, Bill Dillon. Bill gave a speech that I think brought everyone to their feet inside Trump's Mar-a-Lago the other night. Listen to what he had to say. If he could do it all over again, he would.
Nobody in this goddamn world who cares more for this nation than this guy that you're looking at. And I think Trump is not only the president of the United States, he is the president of the world. And I think he does a fantastic job in negotiations. I'm 101 going 102. God damn it, put the uniform on me. I'll go tomorrow.
Well, I don't care for his language. But I love the passion. I love the passion. He's 101, will be 102 soon. He said, put a uniform on me. I'll go tomorrow. The greatest generation for a reason, folks. They fought so hard. And boy, if it doesn't really make it clear and as obvious as it can be that, strong men create good times. It's one of those strong men right there. Those good times, though, unfortunately, create weak men. Those weak men create hard times. We've seen the cycle over and over again. You wonder where we are in it right now. I don't think it's ever been more clear, but we're in a portion where it appears that strong men have stood up to push back. And I can just encourage you to continue to do that. Push back. Stay in the fight. Stand your ground. Stand tall. And fight like that 101-year-old World War II veteran. Fantastic. What a guy. Again, his name, Bill Dillon. 101 going on 102, he said. It doesn't get better than that, folks. Well, that's going to do it for me. Again, here's the schedule for Christmas vacation. I'm off tomorrow and Friday. And no regularly scheduled programming until January 5th. I will be filling in for Glenn on the national show. So you get 3 full hours of me every day. You're stuck with me. You'll have me Christmas Eve. You'll have me Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of New Year's week. And then we're back to full speed on January 5th. God bless you, folks. Always appreciate you. You're always the best. Thank you for your support. Whether you join me online and share this show, the broadcast out on Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, YouTube, no matter where it is, we appreciate you do that. Appreciate you joining me in the fight and, of course, supporting our sponsors. Mike Lindell, mypillow.com, mystore.com/Justin. Still time to get goodies and gear if you need it. 'Tis the season. It's here. I think maybe today might be wrapping things up, but you got to go and check him out. MyPillow, mystore.com/Justin. Preparewithjustin.com so you can get ready no matter what's heading our way. Preparewithjustin.com. And then healthwithjustin.com. Missy and the crew, Maha, Missy and the folks at healthwithjustin.com. Always a pleasure, my friends. Thank you so much for being here with us. God bless.
I'm Dr. Kirk Elliott, founder of Kirk Elliott Precious Metals. After being in the industry for more than a decade, I knew there was a better way. It's an exciting time to invest in gold and silver with the most significant bull market I've ever seen, but please don't overpay for your stuff. At KEPM, we focus on low-cost bullion only, and we don't charge a commission when you sell. We would love to connect with you, so call our office at 720-605-3900
or go to goldwithjustin.com today.